Okay, in this video we're going to look at some basic formulas and basic functions. By that I'm talking about adding information, plus, minus, multiply, divide, a function called sum, a function called average, a function called max, which is finding the highest number, and a function called min, which is the lowest number. And we're going to start off here. We're going to rename this sheet. It's called right now sheet 1, and we're going to call it practice. Okay? The way to do that is by positioning your cursor right over here on sheet 1, where that arrow is. Right click, rename. You can see it's now highlighted, and while it's highlighted, give it a new name. We're going to call it practice. Hit enter. And your cursor now pops out here. Another way of renaming that sheet is by pointing over to it and quickly double left clicking. It's now highlighted. You could then type over the highlighted area, and I'll just do it again. Practice, hit enter. So we've renamed our sheets. I'm going to come up here to cell D2. And what we want to do here is we want to plus, or we want to add these two numbers, 10 plus 10. They're in the column N1 and N2, just basically standing for numbers and numbers 1 and numbers 2. We want to add these two numbers together. Anytime you're within Excel and you're using a formula, you have to remember that any formula always begins with the equal sign. So you're going to start off with an equal. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take your mouse, and this is very important, and click on that first 10, which happens to be in cell B2. Next, plus sign, and then click on this 10 right here, which happens to be in cell C2. So what we have right now is a formula that's saying B2 plus C2. That is in fact what we want to add. Now we can hit enter. Or we can hit the plus sign, which is another way of saying enter. To double check our formula, we can quickly double left click here. And it shows us B2 plus C2. That pattern should work throughout the rest of the column. That being said, the way of copying that pattern is to go to the fill handle right here. We get our plus sign, hold down the left mouse, and drag it all the way to the end. And then let it up. Quickly double checking here. Double left click, B17 plus C17. So we copied that pattern, which is basically saying that we're always adding the numbers in column B to the numbers in column C. Next, we're going to come up here to cell E2, and we're going to create another formula. It begins with the equal sign. And this time what we want to do is we want to take what's in B2 minus the information that's in C2. It's B2 minus C2, and once again we're using our mouse. We're just clicking here. Check mark. To double check, we quickly double left click. go to our fill handle and copy that pattern all the way down. Next, we're going to go up into F2 and create another formula. Equal sign, and we want to multiply this 10, which happens to be in B2, so we clicked on it, multiplied by, see asterisk, this 10 here, which happens to be in C2. And all along, I'm just using my mouse to click on the cells that contain the information. Hit the check mark, go to the fill handle and copy that pattern to the end. In cell G2, the equal sign, we're going to take this 10 here, which happens to be in B2, divided by this 10 here, which happens to be in C2. Hit the check mark and copy that pattern all the way down. To double check it, quickly double left click, and it will show us that our formula at this point is B17 divided by C17. Okay, next we're going to go into cell H2. And what we want to do is we want to sum. We're going to use a function to sum these two numbers. Okay, we want to sum these two numbers here. The way to go about that, click on the Home tab. It's one way of getting the summation. Click up here in the down arrow that says Autosum. Highlight Sum. And initially, Excel makes a guess in terms of what numbers you want to add or sum. And the initial guess is that it's from B2 all the way over to G2. However, that's not what I want to sum. I just want to sum from here to here. So what I do is I hold down my left mouse and I retrace. Hold it down from here to here, which is B2 to C2. Release it. Check mark. Let's do another one. Autosum. This is too big of a range. I don't want to add all these numbers. I just want to add from here to here. So I hold down my left mouse and trace the area that I want to sum. And what in fact I want to sum is from B3 to C3. Hit the check mark, and now we can drag that pattern all the way down. We're going to come up here to I2, and next what we want to do is average these two numbers. So we come up to Autosum, average, too big. Excel took a guess. He basically guessed wrong. So we want to trace with our mouse, holding down the left mouse to this point here. We want to average starting at B2 all the way over to C2. Hit the check mark. Go to our fill handle, copy it all the way down. Next, we're up in J2. What we want to do here is find the highest number in this range. So we go to Autosum, Max, and then trace. Hold down the left mouse, starting at B2 all the way over to C2. check mark, go to our fill handle, and drag it down. Next, we're in K2 and we're going to find the minimum or lowest number. We go up to Autosum Min, and then trace from here to here, check mark, drag it down, copy the pattern. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to total for each column these numbers. For each column we're going to total them. We're going to find the average for each of the columns. We're going to find the maximum number that's within each of the columns. And lastly, the minimum number. So let's start off over here. We're in cell B18 and we're going to total. So you want to make sure you're on the Home tab, Autosum Sum. Excel will take a guess at what range you want to add. And the initial guess is from B2, which is right here, all the way down to B17. That is correct. Hit your check mark. And it's going to be that same pattern going all the way across. So what that means is that we can go to the fill handle and drag this all the way across. To double check it, quickly double left click here, and you can see where what we're trying to sum is from K2 all the way down to K17. Let's find our average number. Over here, click on average. And this is something we have to be very aware of. Make sure that Excel has guessed the right range. Whenever you're doing an average, you never want to include the total. So that means you have to get your mouse and trace from here, holding down the left mouse, to this point right here, and then click on the check mark. Go to your fill handle and copy that pattern all the way across. We're going to do our maximum next. Excel has guessed too big of a range. It's including your total and average. So we want to readjust that. It should go from B2 all the way down to B17. You do not want to include your total and average. That's the right range. Check mark. Go to your fill handle and copy that pattern across. Lastly, our minimum. We want to adjust the range, and it should go from B2 all the way down to B17. Check mark. Go to your fill handle and drag it across. Next, I'm going to show you how to insert a row. How you insert a row is by clicking on the row. This whole row is highlighted. Then right-click, insert. And we now have a row above. I'm going to go into cell A1 and we're going to type in practice. If I wanted to center that across the page, I would highlight up to this point right here, and then go and click on merge and center. If I wanted to make these first two rows bold, I would highlight that area and then click on the B for bold.